Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel once again. Today I have a video that I don't do often, but the urge struck and I decided to go book shopping. And by book shopping, I mean I decided to buy a lot of books. Like I said, I don't do this often. I kind of sprinkle my book buys here and there with one or two. It's the end of the summer and it's time to hunker down and do a lot of reading. So I figured, let me go out, let me go to some thrift stores, even bought a few new. But I really wanted to expand my TBR and just really load up for the fall and the winter. So got some really good stuff, at least I hope is some really good stuff. A lot of authors that I usually read, some newer authors as well. So a lot to go over. Like I said, it is a monster stack of books. So we'll just go through what I bought. We'll read a little bit of some of the premises, just talk about what they're about a little bit, and some of the blurbs on the covers and everything like that. And yeah, I mean, hopefully some of you out there have read some of these books so you can, spoiler free, let me know what you thought of them in the comments. So awesome, let's get into it. Okay, so first up is the second Katrina Ward novel that I've picked up, and this one's called Sundial. I absolutely loved Last House on Needless Street, so when I was walking through my local bookstore and I saw this one, it was a must buy. I cannot wait to dive into this one and see, if she can repeat the performance and, bring something here that was kind of on par with what she brought in Last House on Needless Street, just in terms of the twists and turns and everything like that. So real quick, let's just read a little bit of what we got going on here. All Rob wanted was a normal life. She almost got it, too. A husband, 2 kids, a nice house in the suburbs. But Rob fears for her oldest daughter, Callie, who collects tiny bones and whispers to imaginary friends. Rob sees a darkness in Callie, one that reminds her too much of the family she left behind. It also says, you can't escape what's in your blood. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, I really can't wait to dive into this one. I may save this one for, I don't know, maybe October. I like to be really choosy with what I read in October because of, Halloween and everything like that. I like to make it the right choices. Also says there's a little blurb here. Ward is surely one of the most talented writers working in the thriller genre today. This book will haunt you. Yes, I believe that. She is one of the most talented writers today. So, Sundial, Katrina Ward. I can't wait. All right, next one I found in a used bookstore, Gone South by Robert McCammon. This is on the heels of me reading an old paperback, Usher's Passing. Found another old beat-up looking paperback, which I just love. For some reason, it just adds to the experience of reading these books. I love reading older paperbacks. Yeah, not sure what this one's about. Like I said, I loved Usher's Passing and Boy's Life for sure. Let's see what it says here. Robert McCammon's exuberant New York Times bestseller Boy's Life was hailed by the New York Daily News as the author's great American novel and secured his reputation as a master of contemporary fiction. Now, with his storytelling powers at their peak, he brings us Gone South, a visionary masterpiece of survival, redemption, and the astonishing transformations love can create. Plot-wise, it says here, flooded by memories, poisoned by Agent Orange, and desperate for work, Dan Lambert kills a man in a moment of fear and fury and changes his life forever. Pursued by police and bounty hunters, Dan flees south toward the Louisiana bayous. Seems interesting. Part crime novel, part quest. McCammon creates a type of story all his own. That sounds pretty cool. This sounds like it's going to be up my alley. And yeah, like I said, if it's anything like Boy's Life or Usher's Passing, I will probably rip through this one pretty quick. So, Gone South, Robert McCammon, another good one I can't wait to get to. All right, so this one here is a newer release. I think it came out about a month to 2 months ago. It's called 13 Stories by Jonathan Sims. Never heard of Jonathan Sims. This one just kind of caught my eye. It says here, the only way out is up. Very interesting tagline. A dinner party is held in the penthouse of a multi-million-pound development. All the guests are strangers, even to their host, the billionaire owner of the building. None of them know why they were selected to receive his invitation. Whether privileged or deprived, they share only one thing in common. They've all experienced a shocking disturbance within the building's walls. By the end of the night, their host is dead, and none of the guests will say what happened. His death has remained one of the biggest unsolved mysteries until now. So maybe like a whodunit mystery thriller here. But yeah, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, this may be Jonathan Sims' debut novel. Don't quote me on that, but I thought I did read that somewhere. But yeah, either way, it seems a little creepy. Cover looks pretty cool. And yeah, already it says a modern horror classic, nerve jangling. Whatever that means. But yeah, it looks like it could be a good one. So again, can't wait to get to this one this October. Another one that just caught my eye at the local bookstore, Devil House by John Darnielle. Another first-time buy for me in terms of John Darnielle. Never heard of him, never read anything by him. So this one, plot-wise, let's see. Gage Chandler is descended from kings. That's what his mother always told him when he was a child. Years later, he is a true crime writer with one grisly success and a movie adaptation to his name, along with a series of subsequent, less notable efforts. But now he's being offered the chance for the big break. To move into the house where a pair of briefly notorious murders occurred, apparently the work of disaffected teens during the satanic panic of the 1980s, Chandler finds himself in Milpitas, California, a small town whose name rings a bell. His closest childhood friend lived there once upon a time. He begins his research into the murders with diligence and enthusiasm, but soon the story leads him into a puzzle he never expected. Back into his own work and what it means, back to the very core of what he does and who he is. Devil House is John Darnielle's most ambitious work yet, a book that blurs the line between fact and fiction, that combines daring formal experimentation with a spellbinding tale of crime, writing, memory, and artistic obsession. So yeah, that sounds really good. Sounds creepy, sounds spooky. Another one that was along these lines was Chasing the Boogeyman. That was another fictional novel that played on the whole true crime writer and wove it into, a fictional story with some truth to it, with some fact to it. So, hey, if this is anything like that, that was my number one book last year. So if this is anything like that, I'll be in for a treat for sure. So looking forward to Devil House by John Darnielle. All right, so the next one, I was sifting through my local used bookstore, and this caught my eye. For all you Stranger Things fans out there, especially all of you that just watched season 4 and loved it, I saw the name of this one, and it was by a well-known author, and I just couldn't pass it up based on the connection. So this one's called The Hellfire Club by Peter Straub. So the Hellfire Club, if you remember, was the name of the D&D group from season 4 of Stranger Things. Widely popular, Eddie Munson. Awesome season. So I don't know if it had anything to do with this novel in any way. I'm sure it didn't, but I thought it was very coincidental that it was called The Hellfire Club. So this one, they are dying one by one, wealthy middle-aged women in an exclusive Connecticut suburb. Their murderer remains at large. Nora Chancel, wife of publishing scion Davy Chancel, fears she may be next. After all, her past has branded her a victim. It says surprising twists and a wildly inventive plot from the New York Times. Oh, also a blurb from Stephen King on the front. Far and away the best book Straub has ever done. The Hellfire Club moves like an express train. Nice, I'm into that. So I love Ghost Story. That was the only Peter Straub solo effort that I've ever read, and it was really, really good. So hopefully this one can live up to it, and like I said, maybe there's some D&D elements to it. Who knows? All right, so sticking with Peter Straub, from the same used bookstore, I came across this nice old hardcover, and it's called Mystery. And this one, not really sure what it's about, just kind of picked it up based on the author. It says, on the tiny Caribbean island of Milwaukee, a 10-year-old boy named Tom Passmore is tragically killed in a traffic accident. Well, almost killed. Miraculously, he survives, but as he grows up, the accident leads this brilliant boy to an obsession with death, and particularly 2 unsolved mysteries. One in the present, the murder of the sister of the island's finance minister, the other in the past, the murder of a neighbor and friend of Tom's grandfather in the resort town of Eagle Lake, Wisconsin. He is aided in his investigations by one of the great detectives in modern fiction, Lamont von Heilitz, known as the Shadow. Now retired and living as an eccentric and despised neighbor of Tom on Mill Walk, whose own fascination with the Eagle Lake death may have much more to it than mere intellectual curiosity. Indeed, it is difficult to know whose past is more closely linked to the murder, von Heilitz's or Tom's family. So yeah, like it says, it's a mystery. Seems like a bit of a mystery thriller there. So Straub's a good author. I'm sure he did some good things with this. And yeah, looking forward to it. Next up, I found this very, very old copy of This Perfect Day by Ira Levin. Same author from Rosemary's Baby, as you can see there on the bottom. I looked on the copyright page. This is printed in 1970, and I think like there's a little tear to the dust jacket here on top, but other than that, it's in great condition. Like this really makes me happy to find something like this. The dust jacket's even got that old cardboard kind of papery feel to it, not like that sheen like the new ones. Yeah, I don't really own any hardcovers that are this old, and like I said, it's just a really good looking novel. In terms of the plot, again, don't know much about it, just kind of picked it up because, hey, Ira Levin's a known author, and like I said, just looked really cool. But let's see what it says. The time of the novel is a century and a half after the unification of the nations, and its hero, not its anti-hero, but its hero, is a young man called Chip, who fights a desperate battle for freedom in a world benumbed by chemistry and computerization. Chip's grandfather, Papa John, first wakens him to a sense of his dormant individuality, and later other people crucially affect Chip's life. A gifted young artist named Carl, an unusual girl called Lilac, King, the leader of a group of renegades, Julia, a woman whose own urge toward freedom is inextinguishable. The action of the novel spans years and continents. In its course, the reader shares Chip's triumphs and failures and stands beside him as he faces a final, electrifying revelation. So, interesting there. It doesn't give too much away. So this will be kind of like a going in completely fresh, not knowing what to expect, which is never a bad thing. Sometimes I've read my best novels that way with no expectations. So yeah, this one should be an interesting one to check out and should have a lot of fun reading this really old copy. Next up, I picked up another Scott Carson novel. I absolutely killed The Chill. I blew right through that book, thought it was so good. And when I saw this one in the bookstore called Where They Wait, it was a must-have for me. I just had to pick it up. So I'm really excited to get to this one. Scott Carson, if you didn't know, is also Michael Carita. I think this is his alternate pen name. And yeah, like I said, based on how good The Chill was, I'm excited to get to this one. Plot-wise, let's see what it says. Recently laid off from his newspaper and desperate for work, war correspondent Nick Bishop takes a humbling job, writing a profile of a new mindfulness app called Clarity. It's easy money and a chance to return to his hometown for his first visit in years. The app itself seems like a retread of old ideas, relaxing white noise and guided meditations. But then there are the sleep songs. A woman's hauntingly beautiful voice sings a ballad that is anything but soothing. It's disturbing, really, more of a warning than a relaxation, but it works. Deep, refreshing sleep follows. So do nightmares. Vivid and chilling, they feature a dead woman who calls Nick by name and whispers guidance. Or are they threats? And soon, her voice follows him long after the song is done. As the effects of the nightmares begin to permeate his waking life, Nick makes a terrifying discovery. No one involved with Clarity has any interest in his article. Their interest is in him. It also says, below the white noise of a meditation app, something sinister lurks. Something that knows your name. Interesting stuff. So kind of a modern day horror here, taking in the whole maybe social media and apps and everything like that, modern day technology, everything like that. So yeah, definitely be into that. I'm sure it's got some interesting stuff. And again, looking forward to another Scott Carson ride here. Should be good. Next, I picked up a handful of layman paperbacks, 3 of them to be exact. The first one is Savage, and this one is about Whitechapel, November 1888. Jack the Ripper is hard at work. He's safe behind a locked door in a one-room hovel with his unfortunate victim, Mary Kelly. With no need to hurry for once, he takes his time gleefully eviscerating the young woman. He doesn't know that a 15-year-old boy is cowering under Mary's bed. So a little different than usual Richard Lehman novels. Takes place in 1888, and it seems to be a play on the whole Jack the Ripper story. So yeah, a little bit of a period piece here from Lehman, maybe. So excited to get to that. I'm a big Lehman fan, so I will eventually read all his stuff. So when I saw these 3 at the used bookstore for dirt cheap, I just had to jump on them. Next one is To Wake the Dead. Amara was once the beautiful princess of Egypt. Now, 4,000 years later, she and her coffin are merely prized exhibits of the Charles Ward Museum. If you were to look at her today, you would see only a brittle bundle of bones and dried skin. But looks can be very deceiving, as Barney, the museum's night watchman, finds out. Okay, yeah, another one that sounds a little different for usual Lehman novels, but something I'd be into. That seems like it could be good. And lastly, In the Dark. Not much happens in Donnerville, at least not to the young librarian Jane Carey. Then one day Jane finds an envelope containing a $50 bill and a note instructing her to look homeward, Angel. Jane pulls a copy of the Thomas Wolfe novel of that title off the shelf and finds a second envelope. This one contains a $100 bill and another clue. Like the first, it's signed M.O.G., Master of Games. The game has begun. Okay, I feel like this has tons of potential. This may be the first one I'm going to dive into of those 3. So this sounds like it could be a bit of a ride if you know anything about Lehman. So In the Dark. All right, and the last one I picked up is called The Ghosts of Sleeth by James Herbert. Know nothing about James Herbert. This was another one I kind of picked up because it's just a good-looking hardcover. Older hardcover, kind of a cool dust jacket there. Let's see what it says. So, Sleeth, quiet, peaceful, a small village hidden away in the Chiltern Hills, almost forgotten by the modern world. Nothing much seems to happen here. Little disturbs the centuries-old tranquility. Until the ghosts begin to appear, and frighteningly bizarre events start to occur. Psychic investigator David Ash, a man burdened by the secret of his own past, is sent to Sleeth to investigate the phenomena, and his discoveries there drive him to the very edge of his own sanity. The incidents grow worse, until in the final night of horror, awesome and malign forces are unleashed in a supernatural storm that threatens to consume the village itself. So, obviously supernatural, which I am definitely into. Just by reading that alone, it seems very intriguing and something that I may enjoy. So lastly, it was The Ghosts of Sleeth by James Herbert. All right, everyone, thanks again. Like I said at the beginning, if any of you have read any of those novels, by all means, let me know what you thought. Let me know which ones are the best, which ones I should dive into first. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this Halloween season. I'm looking forward to reading a bunch of spooky books and doing a whole lot of reviews in September and October. So if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button if you're into this kind of stuff, and happy reading. We'll talk to you guys soon.